check, check. Hello, check. Hello, hello.
Namaskar. Hello, can everyone hear me? Maybe how? Hello, Namaskar. Can you hear me? Fine. Good.
Hello, check. Hello.
Good afternoon. May I request everybody to please put your phones on silent. In a world where narratives often overshadow the true essence of our heritage, it becomes essential to revisit and celebrate the remarkable women who have shaped our cultural landscape. Today's session will delve into the unwavering spirit of these heroines from Indian epics who exemplify strength, resilience, and the essence of Dharma. Namaste. On behalf of our chairperson Priya Gazdar and her committee, I, Sujita Chityala, Honorary Secretary of Flow Hyderabad, extend a warm welcome to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Nilesh Nilkanth Oak, a revered author and scholar known for his deep insights into Indian mythology and history, our distinguished past chairs, special invitees, and fellow Flow members. I now request everybody to please rise for the national anthem.
मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
I request Flow Chairperson Priya Gazdar, our distinguished speaker, Mr. Nilesh Nilkanth Oak, along with her Flow past chairpersons, Vani Subhash, Ajita Reddy, Kamini Saraf, to step forward for the lamp lighting. I request past chairpersons to please stay on for a group picture. For a group picture. I request the core committee, followed by the executive committee, to join for a picture. Over to Meenakshi Nahata, EC Head of Business League, to take the Business League session forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Flow Hyderabad, I'm Meenakshi Nahata, EC Head of Business League, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Business League session. Supporting women-led businesses is not just about economic growth, it's about breaking barriers, closing gaps, and nurturing innovation. Women entrepreneurs bring fresh ideas and diverse perspectives that fuel inclusive growth and resilience in our economies. At Flow, we believe that by uplifting women in business, we create a ripple effect, opening doors for future generations and building a more balanced and thriving society for all. Today, we are excited to have three exceptional entrepreneurs with us, ready to share their pioneering businesses and showcase their remarkable spirit of entrepreneurship. Pratibha Kunda, MD of Surendrapuri, India's first mythological theme park near Hyderabad and Senior Vice Chair of Wiki Flow Hyderabad, has nurtured the project since its inception in 2006. A commerce graduate with diplomas in business management and interior design, she is dedicated to elevate Surendrapuri to new heights. Dr. Sri Rao, Director of Dr. Rao's ENT Hospitals and founder of Cochlear Implant Center, specializes in ear and hearing restoration surgeries. As a mentor surgeon, she is committed to transforming lives and creating a deaf-free India through mentoring hearing solutions. Swati Reddy, a computer science engineering graduate from Hyderabad, has 4+ years of experience in the education service industry, where she led a $1.5 million project across 6 countries. Inspired by this, she founded the Dandelion Wish Gifting Solutions, which has been running successfully for 4 years. Let's give them a warm round of applause as they take the stage.
We'll start the presentation. A very good evening to all. Have you ever dreamt of stepping into the timeless epic tales of Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavat, and Puranas? Did you know the temples of India are not just places of worship? They showcase the art, architecture, and history of our country. Did you think that we can see all the famous temples from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, the epics of India and the 7 celestial worlds all at one place? Yes, we can see that in Surendrapuri. They say a visual is worth 1,000 words. Now, at Surendrapuri, you can witness a journey to the soul of India in 3-kilometer pathways. You get to see life-size replicas of all the famous temples of India, the 18 Shakti Pitas, 12 sacred Jyotirlingas, 7 recreated celestial worlds from the peaks of Mount Kailash to Vaikunt within the depths of the Milky Ocean. And a walk through the worlds of Ramayana, Mahabharat, Bhagavat. You get to witness stunning visuals of Kshirosagar Madan, Gangavataran, Vishwaroop, Padmaview, and many, many more. Surendrapuri is India's first of its kind theme park, a one-stop destination that stands as a testament to promote Indian culture and heritage for the generations to come. It has been brought to life by the efforts of hundreds of artisans from across the country and is a dream of one man, Sri Kunda Satyanarayana, who visualized and created this mythological wonderland. To enrich the visitor experience, we now offer multilingual audio guides that narrate the story behind every statue and the history behind every temple. The other attractions here include the 60-foot double-sided Panchamukha Hanuman at the entrance and the Shiva statue 101 feet Nagakoti and the unique Navagraha temples featuring 9 separate shrines dedicated to each deity, which is a very, very unique temple. Embark on this journey where you get to experience an unforgettable glimpse of India's spiritual and cultural treasures just 1 hour from Hyderabad. We also have special corporate and school picnic packages too. Please contact us and feel free to get in touch with us anytime. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Swati Reddy. I'm the founder and creative director at the Dandelion Wish Gifting. We are a full-service gift experiences company with a modern approach to gifting. We work with a lot of homegrown brands and local artisans across the country to bring some amazing gifts for you. We do end-to-end servicing. When we meet end-to-end, from conceptualization to design to creative thinking to bring in the best possible product options. And when I mean end-to-end, we also do pan-India shipping. So we ship across India, and upon request, we do internationally as well. We are into corporate gifting, where this is one of our largest orders, single order delivery that we've done of 3,000 gift packages, which we've delivered across India in tier 2, tier 3 cities for Diwali. And some of the other companies that we've worked with, construction companies, real estate companies, IT companies. So we don't just limit ourselves to a particular sector. This is one of the dermatologist companies that we've done. And so each hamper we curate based on different occasions and themes. These are some of the wedding hampers, bridesmaid hampers, baby shower hampers. And each hamper we are thoughtfully curate these hampers. These are some of the wedding favors that we've done over the last few years. This again, the bride and groom were from different cities, Kolkata and Hyderabad. So we've put together products from both the cities to curate a hamper. So all the families get to experience the cultures of both. And some destination room hampers and some bridesmaid hampers with a lot of personalization options. And these are some of the birthday favors where with different themes we've curated hampers. And since Diwali is coming up, we have curated some options where you can directly pick these to gift someone instead of putting a lot of thought. We have specially come up with these options where you can directly purchase from us, and we will personally ship them anywhere in India. And this is a beautiful team who puts together all these hampers. We are very happy to announce that we have launched our website where you can directly go online from the website. You can buy these hampers and you can also make your own hamper. And yes, thank you so much. Please do follow us on social media. We are in the name of dandelionwish.in. Thank you so much.
A very good evening, Shri Nilesh Nilkanth ji, and the esteemed members of Wiki Flow. I'm Dr. Shri Rao. I'm an ENT surgeon, super specialized in hearing restoration and cochlear implant surgeries. I'm the director of Dr. Rao's ENT group of hospitals, a legacy that was established by Dr. G.V.S. Rao 30 years ago. He is my father-in-law. But today I am here to introduce a new vertical at our center, Dr. Rao's ENT Cochlear Implant Center. Hearing loss. Unfortunately, this hearing loss is not a visible deformity like blindness or any other physical deformity. Hence, it's often overlooked or neglected by the society. In India, nearly 4,000 babies every year are born with severe to profound hearing loss. And a child who is born with hearing loss or a deaf child will not be able to hear and they'll not be able to speak. And lifelong they'll be labeled as deaf and dumb by the society, which has a very significant effect on the socioeconomic status, not just on the family, but the entire nation as well. Right now, we have all the advanced technology in our country to identify hearing loss immediately at the time of birth of the child too. But because of lack of awareness in the society, all the benefits are not met. Through our Rao's ENT Cochlear Implant Project, we are not just creating awareness among the individuals, but also providing free hearing restoration and cochlear implant surgeries worth rupees 10 lakh for every child who is born deaf under the age of 5 years of age. I feel I'm privileged to have treated more than 200 deaf mute kids and support their families thanks to the foundations that are helping us. This is how kids react as soon as the implant is being activated. That is the first time they'll be able to hear the sound. That's a reaction. A newborn baby, that's how they react. The first sense of sound. This is a child that I operated at 11 months of age. Audio, please. That's the child speaking at the age of 3 years. Right now he is 6 years. Our chairperson, Shri Priya Gazdarji, I'm very happy that she witnessed firsthand this child's development because she's the person who did entire internal branding for our center, Dr. Rao's ENT. Sincere thanks to you, Shri Priya Gazdarji. And this is the child that I operated at 4 years of age. Abhaya, audio please. He's telling shlokas. Because Sri Nilesh Nilkanth is here, I wanted to make sure that shlokas are still being told by a person who is born deaf mute. But now he's able to do that. And this child I operated at the age of 3 years, and this is how she's mentioning. She was just telling her name. 2.5 years age, once again, she'll be called as Vasapita. I'm sorry, the audio is not working, but I think these emotions are entering into our heart. You can understand that, I guess. Together as strong and empowered women, I have a very sincere request to you all. Just spread the word that hearing loss is treatable when diagnosed early. Please help us create a deaf-free India. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pratibha, Ms. Swati, and Dr. Rao for presenting your outstanding ventures today. As Shari Blair once said, when you empower a woman, you empower a community. At Flow Business League, we are dedicated to fostering this empowerment by supporting women entrepreneurs in their growth journey. For any members interested in promoting their businesses, please feel free to reach out to me, Deepika Agarwal or Tarang Vaishya, after the session. Thank you so much, and over to you, Ms. Priya Gazzar.
I do need that.
That was overwhelming. That was so powerful. Congratulations to all our three presenters today and to Meenakshi and the Business League team for putting this beautiful presentation together. Thank you so much. Namaste. Guest speaker, Shri Nilesh Nilkanth Oakji, our illustrious past chairpersons, special guests, the executive committee, members of the press, and my dear members. The collective grief and the personal sense of loss every Indian felt last week at the passing of this humble titan, Ratan Naval Tata, brought back the spotlight on the value we all, at an intrinsic level, place on ethics, integrity, humility, and service. The world learned compassionate capitalism, fair governance, and corporate commitment from the Tata Group. A leading German company is once known to have said very famously, "The Tata word is enough. No documentation is needed." And that from a German company. No mean achievement. Let's watch a short film that may not sum up all that this brand stands for, because they are nation builders in every sense of the word. But this film does tell us where Tata's heart really lies.
मेरा पापा देश चलाता है, नहीं है नेता, लेकिन देश को वो चलाता है। वो डॉक्टर भी नहीं है, लेकिन रोग भगाता है। मेरा पापा देश चलाता है। वो पुलिस में भी नहीं है, लेकिन देश की गंदगी मिटाता है। वो आर्मी में भी नहीं है, लेकिन गंदे शैतानों से जंग लड़कर आता है। मेरा बाबा देश चलाता है। अगर नहीं जाएगा मेरा बाबा काम पर, तो रुक जाएगा इंडिया का हर घर। ना बनेगा खाना, ना होगा नहाना, सड़कों पे मच जाएगी भगदड़। बच्चे स्कूल नहीं पहुंचेंगे, ना ही डॉक्टर अस्पताल, मंत्री मंत्रालय नहीं पहुंचेंगे, और पूरे देश का हाल हो जाएगा बेहाल। हम सब की जिंदगी को आसान बनाता है। मेरा बाबा वो काम करता है जो देश का कोई भी बाबा करना नहीं चाहता। मेरा बाबा देश चलाता है। क्योंकि देश अपना गीला और सूखा कचरा अलग नहीं करता। मेरा बाबा कचरा, गटर और बीमारियों के अंदर जाता है और बहुत बीमार होकर निकलता है। कभी कभी लगता है मेरा बाबा बीमारी से हार जाएगा। कभी कभी लगता है बाबा लौट के घर नहीं आएगा। मेरे बाबा को बचाओ। इस देश को सिर्फ मेरे बाबा से मत चलवाओ, क्योंकि देश को देश का हर आदमी चलाता है। क्योंकि देश को देश का हर आदमी चलाता है।
Through the millions of messages circulating globally, the statement that stood out most frequently is Ratan's exhortation, do the right thing. At Flow, day in and day out, together, we all strive to do just that, the right thing. Let us see how we did it in this last month. The EduSkill team launched free Tally Pro courses for final year graduation students of 3 institutions. Implemented in collaboration with Avinash College of Commerce, this endeavor empowers 350 students with certification from Tally Academy for a brighter career. Our thanks to Education Initiative partner Swastik for owning the project. Sakala, our handlooms team, facilitated the distribution of 24 bicycles to young girls of Zilla Parishad High School, Siddipet. Supported by Mukul Madhav Foundation, this initiative aims to increase independent mobility and thus reduce the school dropout rate amongst girls attaining puberty. The team, along with the social media team, ensured that Flow Hyderabad emerged winner of the Flow National Handlooms Day campaign for sharing nearly 300 posts in a mere 21 hours. This declaration was made last week by Flow National. The team also participated in the Flow National Handlooms exhibition Anshukam at Delhi, where 2 artisans from Golabhama and Telia Rumal clusters and 2 leading designers were mobilized to represent Hyderabad. The chapter funded the travel, stay, and inventory investment for the artisans with the support of initiative sponsor McLean. Resilient Roots, our agriculture initiative, is empowering 100 rural women farmers in the techniques of modern vegetable farming. We will soon be able to see the first crop showcase of this initiative that is supported by Vision Tech. Our women's health vertical, Wealth, in association with implementation partner McLean Skill Academy, enabled the training of 65 10th and 12th pass girls in bedside healthcare. I'm delighted to share that all 65 have been placed in hospitals, which is AIG, Rainbow, and KIMS, which means a 100% placement record with government prescribed salary and benefits, which start at something like 18,000. The team organized a cancer awareness walk in association with implementation partner KIMS Kondapur. The play Half a Cup Full, staged as part of the event, also contributed to the huge success of the initiative. With a 14-member contingent, Hyderabad's representation in the international business delegation to the Baltic nations was strong and substantial. The team came back enriched with possibilities-laden B2B conversations. The chapter hosted a 14-member business delegation of women entrepreneurs from Philippines and 5 senior Flow leaders last month. The highlights of the 2-day tour include a visit to the Flow Industrial Park, a meeting at the Secretariat that threw light on Telangana State's business-ready policies, B2B meetings with industry professionals from various sectors, and a networking dinner attended by the who's who of the city. We recently signed an MOU with the International Startup Foundation to further the cause and reach of women entrepreneurship. And I had the opportunity of representing Flow on the panel for Rural Economic Development at International Startup Festival 2024, as well as at the pitching sessions for food and agri products. The Growth Forge team facilitated the participation of Flow member Arpita Soma of Gourmet Craft in the real pitch session to potential investors, and 2 members, Puram Yarlagadda of Ascent and Srivani Madugula of Panelux, participated in the expo at the ISF 2024. The team's digital literacy campaign enrolled 350 young women from 3 educational institutions in a digital hackathon through which they gained certification in AI's diverse applications in various fields, including healthcare, legal, and business analytics. Flow Hyderabad is very proud to have contributed to the formulation of the new Telangana MSME Policy 2024, which was officially launched last month. Many of our suggestions aimed at empowering women entrepreneurs have been acknowledged and incorporated into the policy. Kudos to the MSME SS Cell for pursuing this very meaningful project. Our Mindshare program, in collaboration with YFlow, was a smashing hit. 16 participants honed their innate potential under a TEDx curator and emerged fearlessly confident on stage. Congratulations to all our graduates and the Mindshare team for the success of this dream project. Last week, 5 of our members had the opportunity of exploring business opportunities in Sharjah through one-on-one meetings with the team from Sharjah International Airport Free Zone. Hoping positive results from the interactions. Please keep us updated, girls who attended. The fireside chat with Pooja Bedi helped unravel some of the ways in which we can channel our inner strength to go from limitations to liberation in every sphere of our lives. And in the past 6 months, with the unflagging efforts of the membership team, we welcomed 120 new members into the Flow family this year, and the orientation for them was held last month. The Style Tattva team made it an addition to remember in every aspect, from organization to curation to earnings. The Flow Business League team organized 3 editions, including today's, enabling business pitches by 9 Flow entrepreneurs. The Flow Marketplace team added a substantial amount to the chapter's coffers, providing the fuel much required for our initiatives and workshops. The Connect team brought out 6 crackling editions, encapsulating the sea of work being done month on month. The Retreat team is leaving no stone unturned in curating unforgettable experiences for participants of the annual retreat to Bhopal. And Shruti Malpani is right here. Anybody still have not booked but want to, please get in touch with her. The events team has been by our side through every talk, every workshop, and every outbound trip, ensuring a flawless experience for our speakers, members, and guests. And through it all, everywhere is the core team, supported by the finance team, doing what they do best, making Flow Hyderabad a chapter to reckon with. As we embark on the third quarter of the 2024-25 session, I would like to thank each one of you in the executive committee for your time, your support, and your efforts. A note of gratitude to our past chairs and mentors for their constant guidance. A shout out to Riddhi Jain, YFlow Chair, for being an ally and partner in so many projects this year. And do mark your calendars for our upcoming events. Before I end, my grateful thanks to Nilesh Ji for joining us here this afternoon to discuss the crucial role played by our Heroines of Dharma and how doing the right thing has stayed in currency for millennia and will continue to be the North Star for generations to come. Thank you, sir, for joining us. And now, over to Shilpa Raju, Treasurer of Flow Hyderabad, to introduce our illustrious guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya. I now request our speaker, Mr. Nilesh Nilkanth Oak, and our chairperson, Priya Gazdar, to please join us on stage. And I request Ms. Priya Gazdar to felicitate our speaker today. Mr. Nilesh Nilkanth Oak is an author, original researcher, GAIA and TEDx speaker, UAA ICT distinguished alumnus, and sought-after keynote speaker. He holds a BS and MS in chemical engineering and an executive MBA. He has published 3 revolutionary books: When Did the Mahabharata War Happen?, The Historic Rama, Bhishma Nirvana. His books have been and are being translated into various other languages. He travels extensively around the world, speaking to the university and college students and to mainstream audiences. His work has inspired novels, novelettes, documentaries, and movies. Mr. Nilesh helps individuals become aware of the deep wisdom and antiquity of Indian civilization so that they truly comprehend, present, or defend the grand narrative of this civilization, unlike most other Indic researchers, because he builds it through a scientific acumen and logical reasoning. He's a researcher and an adjunct faculty at the Institute of Advanced Sciences, Dartmouth, Massachusetts, USA. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today, and we are privileged to have you here. I request you to please take the session forward. Thank you.
Namaskar, everyone. Ila unnaru. Yeah, the Oak name may not appear to have any connection with Hyderabad or Telugu language. But a while ago, I was reading the history of the Oak clan, you know, like every surname can have their history. And what it tells me is that we moved from old Andhra Pradesh, not far from Hyderabad, actually just south of Hyderabad, I think, Kurnool district. It's in Andhra Pradesh now? Okay. And the history for the last name Oak comes from a tree that exists in that region called Auk tree, if you have heard about it, AWK, that's how it is. I'm going to show something from my ancestral place, that is Kurnool district and Jwalapuram today. okay, in the way of that. So yes, I do have a connection with Andhra Pradesh area. I'm using Andhra Pradesh because when I left for America, it was still Andhra Pradesh together as a Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. All right. So thank you everyone for coming. So I will go for about say 45 minutes. Okay. So anytime, tell me, share the truth with me. Anytime somebody stands to speak, aren't you have a knot of fear saying how long this guy is going to talk, right? So therefore I'm telling you it's 45 minutes. Or if you get bored before, all you have to do is start clapping. And I will know that it's time for me to stop, okay? Okay. A very thundering clap will tell me I should stop. Okay, let's begin with this. Just a quick summary of 30 plus years of my research on Indian history, the antiquity of Indian civilization, Hindu Dharma. Before I spend too much time on this, let me ask you, let me do the Purva Paksha. Before coming here today, and be very honest, anyone here who has not heard of my name, other than, of course, like last 15 days, you might be hearing, as somebody Nilesh is coming, or not listened to any of my podcast, any of my 1,000 plus YouTube videos, read 3 of my books, or read 550 of my blog articles. If you have not done any of it, I totally understand. Just raise your hand. Okay. A lot of them. Very good. And those of you who have listened to at least one of the talk, or at least read a book, and I met somebody who has read a book in full. Can you raise your hand? Like if you have listened to a talk? Okay. Now those who have listened to something, you can relax. For the rest, there is a lot of homework at night. Okay. So for them who have not listened to it before, and even for others, this is a quick summary of my 30 years of research. Today, this is the x-axis there. You know, today is where we are today, 21st century. 0 is everyone knows. If I ask anybody's birthday right now, so whatever the year they tell, say 1995, you know, the 0 point of that is like connected with the birth of Jesus, right? So that's a 0. Then you go backwards here, minus 5K, 5000 BCE, 10,000 BCE, 20,000 BCE, and so on. I started with Mahabharata. Everyone knows Mahabharata? Yeah. But I'm so used to asking this question because I give too many lectures in America. Okay? And sometimes they say no, Ramayana, no. Then I said, have you heard of Hare Krishnas? You know, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. So you know the Krishna, you know the Rama. I'm talking about them. You know, that's how I will tell them. So I started with Mahabharata. And I'll give you a brief idea how I did it. But essentially, if you read Mahabharata, there are close to 300 astronomy descriptions, astronomy pieces of evidence in the Mahabharata text related to the Mahabharata war. And if you bring them together and solve like a jigsaw puzzle, like a crossword puzzle, how many of you play with a crossword puzzle? Yeah, you will understand this. So think of like looking at the clues and bringing them together with the right constraints. It has to be 5 words, you know, 5 letters in length. It must start with a certain letter and so on, right? These are the restrictions. Something similar, but in astronomy. In fact, I saw like 2 names, and I'm going to use those. The 3 great entrepreneurs today that we were celebrating. Dr. Sri Rao, right? Where is she? She gave a presentation and gone? No? Okay. Just curious, do you know the company called Sensorion? It's in France, based in France. So I was listening to you. The CEO of that company, Nawal Uzran, we can talk offline, is my very good friend, worked with me many years in General Electric, and my student. Okay, and she's now CEO of that company, who works on ear-related technology. Sorry, you don't have to stand up there. And the other name was, I think, Swati Reddy. Okay, you don't have to stand up, but I'm going to use Swati's name to tell you how deep is Indian antiquity, with your permission, of course. So I took those 300 references from Mahabharata, put those together, and it takes you to one very unique year and no other year. So if you are looking at the Mahabharata text, and as soon as I say that, people say, but which Mahabharata text? Is it the northern version, the southern version, Kumbhakonam? Is it the Bhandarkar critical edition? It does not matter. You can pick any big 100,000 verse long text of Mahabharata from anywhere in India or outside. And if you look at all the astronomy descriptions, it's going to take you to 5561 BCE. Ditto for Ramayana. Ramayana, to my surprise, how many of you have read Ramayana? Definitely Sundarkand, if nothing else, right? Parts of Ramayana. Valmiki Ramayana, I'm referring to. So if you want to look at Ramayana from the historical perspective, Itihasa, then you must look at only Valmiki Ramayana. Everyone understands that? For everything else, you can look at all other Ramayanas. Kamba Ramayana, what is the Telugu Ramayana here? What is it called? Maharashtra, there is a Bhavartha Ramayana. In North, you see the Tulsi Ramayana. That's all fine, but it's for different purposes, with a Bhakti Bhav and all of that. But for history, it is only Valmiki Ramayana. So if you look at the astronomy references in Valmiki Ramayana, more than 600, you put them together like a jigsaw puzzle, it takes you to that one specific year, 12,209 BCE. Everyone understands BC? Before Common Era? So you just add 2024, you know how many years ago. Okay? And both Ramayana and Mahabharata, they have a references to Vedas, Rigveda, all the 4 Vedas are references to them. Which means what? They must be before both Ramayana and Mahabharata. And so when I looked at not the astronomy evidence, but the river evidence, river Saraswati. I mean, we know the goddess Saraswati. It comes from river Saraswati, just like goddess Ganga and goddess Yamuna. Okay, it comes from river Saraswati. And if you look at the descriptions of river Saraswati in Rigveda, you'll be amazed. How many of you have visited river Saraswati? Okay, where was that? In Uttaranchal? Okay. We are not talking of that Saraswati. Okay, near, what is that place? Where Vyasa Gufa is there and so on and so forth. Yeah, right. About near Badrinath. Okay. Now that Saraswati was given a name because the original Saraswati is lost. Now it no longer exists. And that is the beauty. It allows us to understand how old is Rigveda. For example, if you look at Rigveda, it has a description of Saraswati like this: Naditame, Ambitame, Devitame, Saraswati, the grandest of the grand river. Grander than Ganga, Yamuna, Satluj, Sindhu, everything. Now that kind of grand river doesn't exist in the last 10,000 years. Fortunately, it did exist before that. Okay, and today that's not a subject. I want to talk about the Heroines of Dharma. So I'll take less time and not go into that, but maybe if we get a time in question answer. So that river Saraswati evidence, in fact, there are many descriptions. It says Giribhya A Samudrat, like it starts in the high mountains, okay, and runs all the way to the ocean. No such river today. I mean, no Saraswati river today. Or it says it was so forceful that it cuts the tops of the mountains just like we cut the lotus stem. And not only that, just like the lotus flower can float on the water, the flow of Saraswati is such that these mountain tops can actually can float on the surface of Saraswati. That's what Rigveda says. Therefore, actually, we see these particular crystals brought by particular rivers into Rajasthan and Pakistan, because that's how far they have been taken. That allows us to tell how old these descriptions of Rigveda could be. And just as a simplicity, I'm going to say they are definitely more than 21,000 years old. How many of you learned the multiplication tables, but multiplication as a pade? Marathi is called pade. I don't know what you call in Telugu. Like 7 times 2 is 14, 14 times 3 is 21. Yeah? So in Marathi, you can sing in Telugu, you know, I'll sing in Marathi. Sat ke saat, sat duna sauda, sat trik ekvis, something like that, similar. So just to remember, just for you to remember as a simple mnemonics, if somebody asks you how old is Hindu civilization, I know the wrong answer you gave so far. Most of you would have said 5,000 years. Yes? Okay, no more. If that's one point you can take from today, I will consider this successful. We have at least 21,000 plus years of history. And I'm going to show you some more. So no more 5,000 years. Okay? And a multiplication of 7 is something easy to remember. Mahabharata more than 7,000 years ago. Ramayana more than 14,000 years ago. Rigveda more than 21,000 years ago. Do you like this multiplication of 7? Okay, we will do the whole 70,000, you know. Okay, how's that? Let's do it. Mahabharata. Just as an example, I want to show you how it is done. Okay, something very interesting. Crucial evidence and clinching evidence. Like, you know, you might have heard these words. But just to give you an example of what crucial evidence is, to really know what is not possible. Okay, let me ask you a question. Listen carefully. Do you know these three individuals? Lokmanya Tilak, everyone? Swatantrya Savarkar, yes. Mahatma Gandhi, very good. Now listen carefully. Right now it's 2024. I'm going to make a statement like an exam, true or false. Listen carefully. In 1924, Mahatma Gandhi, Lokmanya Tilak, Swatantrya Savarkar, they all three came together in Pune and discussed affairs of getting the Swarajya for 3 hours. True or false? True. Raise your hand. Who said true? Okay. False. Okay. I was hoping somebody will say false. No. Okay, ma'am. Why false? Different facts. Okay. Okay. Did everyone hear what she said? No? Lokmanya Tilak passed away in 1920. And if you listen carefully, I said in 1924, they came together. Okay? Now, what you said, ma'am, is a great answer. Okay? That's how people discuss things in academia. Okay? So instead of like understanding the crux of it, that after 1920, Lokmanya Tilak was simply not there, they would say, and you're right about that, you know, their psychology, their philosophy may not be very easy for them to come. But my point is, the crucial evidence is such that just that evidence, I don't need to know anything else. It just simply tells me that is simply not possible. And the answer here is, Lokmanya Tilak was simply not there. Everyone understands? Okay. So think of this as a metaphor as we go through this evidence. Where do I need to point out, by the way? Oh, it went actually further. Okay. All right. So this is Mahabharata. Okay. 100,000 plus verses. This may surprise you, by the way. The folks who came to fight in the 18-day Mahabharata war, we think they came in India. They came from India. Of course, they came within India. But the India of 7,500 years ago is very different. And even the outskirts. You know, there are warriors, kings. They came as far west as Syria. Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Syria. Okay? And as far east as Indonesia. Just keep that in mind, okay, as we go through some interesting evidence. Okay, so this is my first, just like I gave you Tilak, Savarkar and Mahatma Gandhi type of evidence. Just before the war, Vyasadeva is telling Dhritarashtra, you know, trying to make a last minute attempt to see if the war can be stopped. He says, you know, I don't see good signs. And he just makes a long laundry list of things. Okay, some of them are the astronomy evidence that I was referring to, 300 plus. Okay, they may be 30 or 40. He's making a long list. In that list, he makes one particular observation. Now let's check your astronomy. How many of you know how to see a pole star in the sky? Very good. How many of you have seen the Saptarshi, like the 7 stars? Okay, if not, take that as a homework afterwards. Okay, so 4 stars, and then there are 3 stars. Arundhati Vasishta, maybe after a wedding. I don't know if you do that after the wedding. Yeah? Now everyone remembers. Okay. After the wedding, you're supposed to look at Arundhati and Vasishta. Okay? Those Arundhati and Vasishta. What Vyasa is saying is to Dhritarashtra is something fascinating. Something very similar to what I said. In 1924, these 3 great guys came together, which is not possible. Something impossible that all modern astronomy thought impossible in the very order of nature for at least 500 plus years. Because that's how modern astronomy old is, you know. So what it says, Ya Chaisha Visuta Rajas Trailoke Sadhu Sammata Arundhati Tayapesha Vasishta Prushtata Kruta. Everyone knows Sanskrit, right? Okay. All simplified is saying the Vasishta okay, that Arundhati has placed her husband Vasishta behind. Very relevant for the flow meeting, you know. Okay, has placed her husband, Arundhati has placed her husband Vasishta behind. And why this is a big deal? The big deal is very similar to Lokmanya Tilak Savarkar Gandhi meeting in 1924. Astronomy said this is impossible. So in 1994, because I had just completed my master's and I had no work, so I said, let me just look at it. I had 15 days to defend my thesis, and I just happened to run into this Mahabharata verse. Because right now, if you go at night and look at this Saptarshi, you will see Vasishta is ahead, Arundhati is behind. Everyone knows how to look for a pole star, North Pole star. So if you're looking in the north direction, that's the pole star. And in the northeast, you will see all the stars come up, they go anti-clockwise and set in the northwest. So Vasishta comes first, Arundhati is behind, very, very close to each other. That's why you see after the wedding. Okay, that should be the sequence, unless you are at a flow meeting. Okay, all right. So that's surprising. Like, why Arundhati is walking ahead? And I said, why would Vyasa write something that is not possible or that is not true? That's not the nature of Vyasadeva, you know. So I started studying. How many engineers in the room? Okay, so I'm going to give out some secret. When we just get our degree, we think we can do anything. Okay, so I thought, yeah, I can finish that problem in 15 days. And I did finally solve the problem. That's why actually I'm here and talking to you. But my timing was wrong. Instead of 15 days, it took me 15 years. From 1994 to 2009, you know. And when finally on my wife's birthday, 8 May 2009, Friday, I solved the mystery. Okay. I will not take you through the complexity of astronomy, but I will tell you what's the outcome. Actually, I showed that there was indeed a time. Actually, the all greats like Lokmanya Tilak himself, he was a great astronomer, great mathematician. Not many people may know that. He tried, in fact, he made a fun of this observation. Okay, there are many others in the West who said, look at these Indians and Hindus, all kinds of nonsensical stuff they write in their grantha. This is just not possible. But finally, when I solved it, actually I showed there is a time when Arundhati could be seen walking ahead of Vasishta. Not only that, that time period was about this 6,000 year time period, 11,000 BCE. Everyone understands? So before 11,000 BCE, you cannot see Arundhati walking ahead of Vasishta. After 4508 BCE, you cannot see Arundhati walking ahead of Vasishta. And Vyasa is saying, at the time of Mahabharata, Arundhati is walking ahead of Vasishta. Help me. So where did Mahabharata war happen? Somewhere in between. Everyone understands that? Okay, you are good with me. But somebody had a doubt. Okay, the person said, well, I'm not so sure if what Nilesh is saying is true. So 10 years after me, now that's the year, we already told you that, one Siddhartha Chabra, he's in Michigan, he said, let me see if Nilesh is just bluffing or he's telling the truth. So after 10 years, he looked at the most latest astronomy data, like from Hubble telescope and JPL labs and NASA and whatnot. And he looked at it, and you know what he came up with? He said, yeah, that's true, but the interval that Nilesh identified is not correct. Actually, the interval is narrower. Now, is this a good thing or a bad thing? It's a good thing. We have to look within that 5,000 years for the year of Mahabharata war. Okay, so that's the interval now, and I exactly told you where that 5561 BC already is. If you look at other evidence from Mahabharata, I'll go a bit fast through this. Related to Bhishma Nirvan, many other instances. Forget Arundhati Vasishta. You also get a very consistent picture. This is like solving our crossword puzzle. Because you may get one word right, but if you don't start getting other words right, you know you have done something wrong. On the other hand, you start suddenly getting clues. Here is another word that perfectly fits, and here is another word. It gives you a feeling you are on the right track. Make sense? That's exactly what happened. So we said, okay, Arundhati Vasishta says here, then Siddhartha Chabra says it's here, and we look at additional evidence, and it gives us this beautiful 1600 year time interval where we should look for the year of Mahabharata war. Now the question is, still there is a 1600 years, how do we figure this out? Okay, that's when there is a astronomy evidence, but of a unique kind. Like everyone knows all the planets, right? Mercury, Venus, very good. Earth, thank you. Mars, Jupiter, Venus, and all further, right? Yeah, and of course Saturn, very good, and also Sun, Moon. Yeah, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and also Sun, Moon. They are also considered planets in Indian astronomy, also Western astronomy. And your something that you are scared of, Rahu and Ketu. Okay, this is the where the moon's orbit cuts the sun's orbit. So if you look at all of this, now I'm not going to bore you with this. In fact, those people who did not watch anything about me, I'm going to give you a homework. How many of you have a sleeping problem, by the way? Insomnia? I have got a solution for you, and it costs nothing, almost nothing. All you have to do is at the bedtime, okay, open your smartphone, go to YouTube, type Nilesh Oak. You are going to get thousands and thousands of videos, okay? Pick anyone of your choice. You start listening to it. Either by morning you are enlightened, or you get a good night's sleep. Okay? All right. So there are a lot of this, but just to give you an idea, just a flavor. Again, that's not a subject today because I want to talk about the heroines of Dharma. But I want to show you how deep antiquity it is and how much evolution has made the difference or it has not made the difference. You decide. Okay? So a lot of astronomy descriptions, but if you just take Mars, for example, and you look at the description of Mars and try to put this as a plug-in, as a jigsaw puzzle, crossword puzzle, just the Mars evidence will take you to 5561 BC. There are about 50 descriptions here. Just to give you a flavor, how does the evidence sounds like in the Mahabharata? Because you must be wondering, most of you with a science background, you say, okay, I understand that, but what are you talking? What do you mean by evidence there? Like, is it the titration in the lab? Something similar, actually. Let's take Mars. It says Mars goes Vakra, whatever that means, twice. And the description will come like this. Everyone knows 27 nakshatra? By the way, that's those 27 nakshatra there, okay? So it says Magha Swangarako Vakra Shravanicha Brahaspati. Near nakshatra Magha, Angarak, meaning Mars went Vakra, crooked, okay? And near nakshatra Shravan, Jupiter went crooked. Then everyone knows retrograde motion of planets. If not, then I'm going to skip it, okay? It just kind of planet comes there, Vakri, we call it Vakri, comes there, slows down, goes back. Now, in the Mahabharata time when that happened, do you know how it describes it? Thank you. If you can get me just a water, that will be fine, you know, or I can get it, that's fine. Dhruvam prajvalitam ghoram apasavya pravartate chitra swatyantare chaiva dishtita parushagraha. Vakranuvakram krutvam cha shravane pavaka prabha brahma rashi samavritta lohitango vyavastita. And when I say this Sanskrit, I see, you know, you are all distracted. Okay? I just said this Sanskrit thing to impress you guys. But just want to give you a demonstration that Sanskrit is not difficult. Dhruvam prajvalitam ghoram. Dhruvam meaning fixed in this case. Okay? It became fixed. Mars became fixed. Prajvalitam ghoram. Prajvalitam, bright. Ghoram, scary bright. Scary bright. Dhruvam prajvalitam ghoram. Apasavya. Normal direction, abnormal direction. Apasavya pravartate. It started going in an abnormal direction, non-normal direction, going backwards. Where? Chitra swatyantare chaiva dishtita parushagraha. Between nakshatra Chitra and Swati. Okay, it just went there. It just going between that. Chitra swatyantare chaiva dishtita parushagraha. After that, vakranuvakram krutvam cha shravane pavaka prabha, on and on. You just go through those 8 descriptions. It will take you to 5561 BC. No other year is possible. Okay, I'm just simplifying that. But you know, just on this, there are possibly like a 20 talks on the YouTube. You know, just by each planet and so on and so forth. This is the method. How many of you from science background, which means medicine, engineering, and you know, many of you. Okay. Now in the West, the best philosopher of science, Karl Popper, if you ask him what is the logic of scientific method, just focus on the screen for a minute. He says it's a triangulation of explanation, prediction, testing in the context of a theory, in the context of a background knowledge. This takes a bit too long. Our great sages made a very small formula like a equal to mc square. Do you know, for example, Patanjali, everyone has heard Patanjali, Yoga Sutra, Yoga. You know what he says? Just look at the bottom of the triangle and the bottom area. He says, Pratyaksha Anumana Agama Pramanani. That's it. All that Karl Popper said, he's just summarizing it. If you ask somebody else, like Gautam, Sage Gautam, he says, look at the triangle. He says, Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Shabda, Pramanani. You see? Just like a formula, they're just giving that. So this is the method I use like 800, 900 times. And basically that's how I figured out the timing of Mahabharata, timing of Ramayana. So Ramayana, you can take it ditto like this. But something very interesting happens. This is known as a tetradic schema in science. And just pay attention, because most of the people, if you are watching my Ranveer podcast and look at the comments, and people are like confused, they are confused because they don't understand this. If you are confused, that's also because you don't understand this. Okay? P1 is the first problem, like when did Mahabharata war happen? To solve this, I proposed a theory. Do you know what is my theory? All astronomy descriptions of Mahabharata are descriptions of Mahabharata times. Everyone with me? All astronomy descriptions of Ramayana are descriptions of Ramayana times. What is the Ptolemy's theory? Earth is at the center. What is Copernicus' theory? Sun is at the center. What is Kepler's theory? The orbits of the planets are not circular, but they are elliptical. What is Newton's theory? There is always an attractive force between two inertial masses. You see? The theory is something very, very simple. It has to be like that. So you propose a theory. As soon as you propose a theory, it gives you prediction. For example, if I say the description is of Mahabharata times, and if Vyasa says Arundhati is walking ahead of Vasishta, then Arundhati better walk ahead of Vasishta. Are you with me? So when I actually spent 15 years and found out a time when Arundhati could walk, that means I eliminated the error. Before it could not walk, now it could walk. Everyone with me? So started with the problem, proposed a theory, eliminated the error. Therefore, I could very confidently say Mahabharata war happened 55-61 BCE. But no good work goes unpunished. You have heard that. You participate, on a flow organizing committee and something, and your work goes up. He did very well last time, so you ask that person to do it again. So when that is done, what happens is, when it's a revolutionary theory, revolutionary work, and you see this in everyday life too, actually it leads to more problems of higher complexity, makes it more complex. That is P2. Okay, so I'm going to show you quick examples of that. Somebody actually asked me today, so now, okay, Mahabharata, are we done? And then people say, what about Krishna's Dwarka? So Mahabharata here we understood. Okay, so what do we know about Krishna's Dwarka? What do you know? What happened to Krishna's Dwarka? Submerged after the Mahabharata war. How many years after the Mahabharata war? Very good. Who said that? That gets 100 brownie points, whoever said it. 36 years, okay? That's cheating. Huh? Okay, thank you. So after 36 years, so if you take 5561 BCE plus 5561 plus 36, now remember this is a BCE business, so actually you have to subtract. You get the answer 5525 BCE. This is the area of Krishna's Dwarka, as everyone knows, okay, the west coast of India, Gujarat. That graph you see, x-axis is time and y-axis is the increase in the sea level rise. Okay, everyone sees that curve? That goes there, and where I have drawn the vertical red line, that's 5525 BCE. I have drawn that line. Do you see how much is a significant increase in the sea level rise? Just to tell you, it's a 15 meters, 50 feet, suddenly in the middle of 6th millennium BCE. And it did not stop there. The next 300, 400 years, it went additional 8 meters, total of 23 meters. Just imagine the massive sea level rise. And this was not tsunami. Because what happens with tsunami? Water comes back. This did not come back. Actually, it overshoot plus 3 meters above the current sea level. And it stayed there for the next 2,000, 3,000 years. Everyone sees that? It has gone up and it stayed there. How many of you have heard of Dholavira and Lothal? This is a bonus material, nothing to do with this. Both are in Gujarat. They were ports, and afterwards you can go to Google and find out when they became a port and when they stopped being a port. The answer is right there. They became ports sometime after 5000 BCE, and they were ports until about 2000 BCE. And now you know the reason. Because the water has gone close to Dholavira and Lothal. Everyone with me? Very interesting, but we are going to move on. And this is not the only place. There are this was a global event, 30 plus different places. Amazing, amazing, spectacular evidence from all different places, just like I showed you on the previous chart. So Krishna's Dwarka was flooded and destroyed in 5525 BCE. Now that's done. Now some people want to ask some other questions. There are 20 different fields. I'm just sharing two with you, oceanography and genetics. Any molecular biologist? Geneticist in the crowd? Nobody? Okay, I can safely bluff of genetics. Yeah. Now what do you know of Mahabharat war? How many people died? Nobody? 18 Aukshohini. Okay, just like a battalion, the military battalion or a company. 18 Aukshohini people died in the 18 days. Just a very short duration. All men. Yeah, right? All men, by the way. 99.99% all they died. Now, if you take 18 Aukshohini and look at the Mahabharata description, that amounts to 40 lakhs or 4 million men. Okay, who had come from where? Syria, just remember, Syria to Indonesia and India in between, they died in 18 days. Now, one may ask a question, do you think that had any effect on the human dynamics? Okay, this is a Monica Carmin paper, 2015, okay, long time after my books on Mahabharata. The x-axis is the time, 150,000 years down to zero. Y-axis, just pay attention even if you are not from a science background, or if you are from science background, definitely pay attention because I'm going to ask you a question. Okay? And this ratio, y-axis, is the ratio of the variation, or what you can say, the variety of X chromosomes, the female chromosomes. X chromosomes, everyone knows X chromosomes. Okay? That ratio, the variation in the X chromosomes divided by the variation in the male chromosomes or the Y chromosomes. For example, just a late flow couple, just walks in. A couple, husband and a wife, they walk in. We will say, I don't know, Mr. and Mrs. Reddy came late today or something like this. But if you are a geneticist or molecular biologist, you don't say that. You said 3 X's and 1 Y entered the room. Everyone understands that? Okay, for a female 2 X's, for a male X and a Y. So that is our noise here. I'm just going to do the noise here. So that noise, nothing is happening spectacular. You see, the noise is around 3.4. Everyone with me? Because the natural kind of a variety is 3:1. Everyone follows? But something happened. There are multiple instances, and I will take you there. Something happened significantly around that time. We'll see what the timing is. But a variation, the ratio of the variety of the female chromosomes, X chromosomes, divided by the male chromosomes, something happened to male chromosomes. This is known as a bottleneck. Think of an earthquake. When earthquake happens, 3 questions you ask. How serious is the earthquake, Richter scale? Where did it happen? When did it happen? Mahabharata was a genetic earthquake. Suddenly, if you look at that time there, just look at the highest peak. The ratio was 16:1 or 17:1. Okay. Now, female variety did not go up, but the male variety actually went down. Everyone follows? That 40 lakhs people are gone. And so the ratio there is 16:1 absolute scale, or signal to noise ratio is 5:1. Everyone follows? Okay. Now we have to ask 2 more questions. This is like a Richter scale. We have to say where did it happen and when did it happen. When did it happen is right here. If you just take the peak and draw the line 7,500 years ago, does that ring a bell? Yeah, but not too fast. We need to ask one more question. Where did it happen? And what if I tell you the epicenter of that was India? So significant male bottleneck, 7,500 years ago, and the epicenter was India. So here is South Asia. Do you know why they call it South Asia? It should be called India, Bharat, whatever it is. Usually to deal with the inferiority complex of Pakistanis. That's what it is actually. That's why it is. Okay? Glad you laughed, but it's not even a joke. That's why actually the name was given. So it's like India, Bharat Varsha. See, that is that forest green. The first one to see the deviation, that male bottleneck, longest to stay there, the dark green line I'm referring to, and the last one to recover. You follow? And if you follow after this, there is a Near East, which is Syria, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, and so on. that color, orange like a color, that's the second one to get affected. The next one is Southeast and Southeast Asia, which is going east of India. That blue line, that is to get affected. And now, sorry, there are brownie points for the yellow line. You see Europe, yellow color. It also shows the similar pattern, but about 2,000, 3,000 years removed from 7,500 years. Can you tell me what might be happening there? Huh? Out of India. Okay, you are not a flow member. So, so no, I would have given some big award. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, that's the out of India migrations. Okay, suppose there was a group of Indians. We were sitting in, say, Houston, Texas, and I would have taken a picture like this. That's like an Indian signature brought to America. Just like that same signature, whatever that upheaval that happened at the time of Mahabharata, that signature is going out of India with the people migrating out of India. Okay. Now I could have taken on this subject, but I want to bring it back to, you said, where are the heroines of Dharma? Yeah. Does this guy understand what is the topic is? Okay. Okay. So just to tell you how much in the Antiquity we are referring to. So Draupadi and Satyabhama, some of the bravest, now that is been garbled, but that's okay. I never meant, never intended that you read that anyways. Draupadi and Satyabhama, when they are in a Vanavas, everyone knows Pandavas went to Vanavas for 13 years. Krishna comes with Satyabhama one time. Krishna has visited Pandavas many times during that time. And while the men are busy, talking philosophy, okay, the ladies say, just do the between us girls discussion. Okay, so they sit together. Sorry, I couldn't show that, but something very interesting, the kind of frankness. And just for this reason, if nothing else, I would encourage you to read, go to Vanaparva of Mahabharata, and this is a Draupadi Satyabhama Samvad. Okay, so now their challenges are slightly different, and Satyabhama, the younger one, is asking for advice. That's why you have a flow and why flow. Right? That's the intention, the younger ones getting some additional advice. So it's like that. Okay? So Satyabhama is asking Draupadi for advice. And their challenges are actually different. Because Draupadi is married to 5 men. Okay? And what is challenge of Satyabhama? She is married to someone who has many wives, right? So she's saying, okay, but in spite of this fact, Draupadi, you have found a way to have this wonderful, like a waltz, like a dance kind of relationship with your 5 husbands. How do you manage that? And I don't want to go into detail, but I want to take you as a homework and see what a frank discussion they are having. In fact, one thing Satyabhama asked, because Satyabhama's challenge is bigger, right? To entice, keep Krishna interested. And so she says, is there any mantra that mantra vidya, jadu vidya, some hypnotism? She uses those words. Is there something that you use? And actually Draupadi says, no, please don't take that route. Just go for naturopathy. Okay, and then she actually goes through the discussion of how her behavior is and how she behaves with their husbands and so on. But extremely frank discussion, and just for that, I would encourage every one of you to read that. Now, this discussion is happening 7,500 years ago. See if that happens today. Okay, if it happens today, then I will say not much has happened through evolution. Okay, in 7,500 years. You'll be surprised. Not much has happened through the evolution. Some of the challenges that we see today, they existed 7,500 years ago. They existed 14,000 years ago. They existed many, many thousand years ago. Some very interesting and what we call apad dharma, like a time of crisis. Okay, I want to give you another example. But just continuing with this story, and you told me you like the multiplication of 7. So let's go. So 7,000, 14,000, 21,000. What comes next? Keep me on my toes, okay? 28,000. Everyone knows the nakshatra system with 27 nakshatras or 28. How many of you know by heart? Ashwini, anyone Ashwini in the crowd? No? I should have brought my wife. Her name is Ashwini, okay? Bharani, usually nobody puts the name. Krutika, Rohini, okay? Rohini nakshatra, you will take that. Okay, so actually you go through these names, and of course eventually we will reach Swati and whatnot. Okay, so these are the nakshatras. The current nakshatra system that we have today is the same nakshatra system we had 7,500 years ago. Pay attention. Is the same nakshatra system we had 14,000 years ago. But even the nakshatras move, and I'm going to tell you the story of a Swati nakshatra in a minute. But because nakshatra move, we have to ask the question, how old is this nakshatra system? The answer is 28,000 BC, about 30,000 years ago. And the reference to that comes into Mahabharata in the Vana Parva. And it tells you exactly the reference, the Krutika is the first nakshatra, why Krutika is the first nakshatra, and so on. What's next? 35,000? After that, okay? After 28,000 plus 7,000 is 35,000. Yeah. What is it? 32? No, but right now 35, right? It will go 42. Yeah. So now if you may ask, like, so Ramayana and Mahabharata is over. Now, is there something else? Actually, there is. It's just not in the form of a itihasa. Now, do you know why the itihasa was written the way we see it? Like we say, oh, that's past, why waste time? How many of you have a business background? Business in the sense MBA, I meant. You know, everyone has a business background, I know. Okay, few MBAs. Now, laws, legal professionals? No? Doctors? I know there's doctors, okay, and even others. We use in these days or even before many case studies when we study something, law, medicine, okay, and business school also. So what happens is, why do we do that? We take a historical business case, we slightly modify to make it interesting, agreed? To make it interesting and give it as a case study in the MBA program. Everyone comfortable with that? That is what itihasa is. Dharmartha kama mokshanam upadesham samanvitam purva vruttam kathayuktam itihasam prachakshate. You take a historical incident, okay, and you tell in an entertaining form, and that is called itihasa. Why do you do that? It becomes a guidebook to understand dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Okay, my time is kind of running out, so I'm going to go fast through this. This is an instance from Maitrayani Upanishad where King Brihadratha is discussing, he's expressing his concerns. He's saying right now the Vasanta Sampat, spring equinox, is on a Magha Nakshatra. Okay, the bright pole star is shifting from its position. And one more thing, he says the oceans are drying out. And this is again x-axis is time, y-axis is the ocean level. If you start from our times and come backwards, for the last 20,000 years, ocean levels are rising. But Brihadratha is saying ocean levels are drying out. So if you want to find this triangulation, spring equinox in Magha, bright pole star moving and oceans are drying, we have to go back through 26,000 years additional in astronomy. And you see those vertical two lines, that is that about 34,500 BC. That is the time of King Brihadratha. So just now I said, 21,000 years of history. Now we are going to 35,000 years of history. But let me go a bit fast. Okay, you wanted 42,000 and 49,000. That's when Saraswati started becoming small and small. Yamuna separated from Saraswati and started meeting Ganga. Okay, that happened during this time. Now you can do the 56,000 years BC. Something very interesting, just similar to like a Mahabharata, but we don't know exactly what it happened. So we can speculate. Maybe Dasharatni Yuddha or Parshurama killing the miscreants, Kshatriyas 21 times and so on. Okay, but something else I want to tell you. I'm not saying this story is from 56,000 BC. But there is a wonderful dialogue in Rigveda between Yama and Yami. And you know who they are? Brother and a sister. But just like a apad dharma, which is to say a time of crisis, possibly similar to Mahabharata, very few men, many ladies. Okay, something similar, but in a deep antiquity. I don't know if it's 56,000 years, but there is this very, again, open discussion. And I'm going to ask you a question at the end. We started with Draupadi, we started with Satyabhama. Now we are discussing Yami. And do you know what here Yami is asking? This is in Rigveda. How many of you have read Rigveda before? No? Now you may say, this is interesting stuff going on here. Let me read this. Actually here, it's a very serious thing. Just take it for what it is. But it's in Rigveda, 10 Mandal 10.10. I'm not making anything. Yami says, this is a special time. This is a time of crisis. And Yama, her brother, she's saying, please be intimate with me and produce a progeny. Okay? And there is a whole discussion between Yama and Yami, and Yama is saying why we should not do this, and Yami is insisting, and Yami is giving all kinds of arguments, and Yama is giving a counter arguments. Okay? And if you're shocked or something, this is just scratching the surface in Rigveda. Start reading Rigveda. Because it is actually capturing the whole humanity, the development of humanity, the evolution of humanity. Okay? And you will... He talks more moral argument, why we should not do it, the brother and sister. That's the argument he uses. He doesn't talk of genetics. Mahabharata will talk of genetics. Yes. Correct. This is not correct. Correct. In fact, absolutely. In fact, in the royal families, how many of you have watched Games of Thrones? Yeah, now people, well, I have, but I won't raise my hand, kind of thing. So what happens? You see that in the Games of Thrones also. So actually, if you're watching it, many times you should get this aha moment if you have read Ramayana and Mahabharata, that actually they're pulling from Ramayana and Mahabharata. Many times, the archetypes are the same. Okay, but let me just move on. So then another 63,000 instance. This is Jwalapuram, by the way. Have you been to Jwalapuram? Anyone has been to Jwalapuram? No, that's another homework now. Good reason to go there. See, actually, if you can see from the top, it's all red soil, but do you see the ash layer? Okay, that ash layer, when dated, goes back to 70,000 plus years. Okay, that was the Toba explosion, the biggest volcanic eruption that happened in the last 100,000 years. The whole ash came covering entire India, the broader India. But something interesting, when you go to Jwalapuram, just below that ash layer, you find the stone tools. Something more interesting, just above the ash layer, you also find the stone tools. What does that tell you? There were people before, and there were people who survived, and they were there after. Now, this is another reason to read Rigveda. Okay, you will find the stone axes in Rigveda everywhere. Everywhere. I'm not saying suddenly Rigveda is from 70,000 BC, but if we prove eventually it is from 70,000 BC, you should not be surprised at all. Okay? Okay, who do we talk now? Sage Sulabha. In Mahabharata, this is before Mahabharata times, but the story comes in Mahabharata, where there is a dialogue between Janak, one of the Janak, there are many Janak, by the way. You know Janak as a father of Sita. He had a very specific name called Siradhwaj. This story, this Janak is a Dharmadhwaj. Just like right now we say Prime Minister of India. Right now it's Modi. But before there was a Manmohan Singh and a Rajiv Gandhi and so on and so forth, right? It's a seat. It's a particular kingdom. So there, this lady, although she was very old, a tapaswini and a sannyasini, when she comes to discuss with Janak, who is a very learned fellow, she transforms herself into a young, beautiful woman. Now, that's not the picture. Do you know, I tried to do that. This is using AI. In fact, it showed me first, it created a Sulabha with glasses. And I spent all my time getting rid of the glasses. So I said, okay, now I'm not going to spend time making her younger, Okay, so just left like that because I give the description. It's amazing. AI will go there and figure out who Sulabha is. And therefore, AI refuses to make her younger. So you can take that as a homework and see if you can try that. But just again, an amazing thing, in the debate, there, this Sadhvi Sulabha defeats the great philosopher King Janak. That is a description. We don't know exactly timing of this, but definitely more than 7,000 years ago, because this story comes in Mahabharata, and in Mahabharata itself, it comes as a very old story. Quickly, two recent ones. That's something you can relate to. Ahilyabai Holkar. Does that ring a bell? Okay. A great administrator. Okay. Something I'll just, because of time, I am over time here, so I don't want to take much time. But something interesting about the Kashi Vishweshwar temple, the one that you see right now, of course, now renovated with the government and whatnot. But that, what you see, is built by Ahilyabai Holkar. In fact, do you know what she wanted to do when she went there? She said, let's rejuvenate the old temple. okay, the Gyanavapi Masjid. And the locals protested. They said, hey, you will come here now, right now you will fix it, but once you are gone, again, we might get affected, So please don't do that. Just build something else. That's why she built it to the side, because the locals did not show the courage. So just look at her fearlessness, look at her courage, okay? And then many things she did. In fact, you can look at the map. Thousands of places she basically did a Jirnoddhar around India, okay? And in a very short span of about 50 plus years. And one more person I want to talk about. How many of you have heard this? Tarabai Bhosle. Shivaji Bhosle, everyone has heard, okay? But she is his daughter-in-law, okay? Rajaram's wife. But something very interesting, because of her and because of her efforts, and of course because of her husband's effort, right now we are Hindu. Everywhere in India, you can give a credit to this lady. Okay, you can read on Google the 27-year-long war that saved Hinduism. Okay, and out of that, she played a role for about 8 years, a significant 8 years. She literally see Aurangzeb die. Okay, and defeated Aurangzeb one place after another, to the extent the soldiers of the commanders of Aurangzeb were saying, you know what, enough is enough, let's go back. And then Aurangzeb, of course, died in Maharashtra at that time. Okay, so again, if you have there are many qualities that these ladies have, but if there is a common one that just the 5 or 6 I shared, is the fearlessness, abhayam, and that is considered a Daivi quality. If you see the Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter, it starts with abhayam. Okay, everything else is sandwiched between that abhayam and then namrata, amanita, and fearlessness. Abhayam, sattva samshuddhir, jnana, yoga, vyavasthiti, on and on, on and on. Okay, I'm almost done. I went over time. My apologies. Now some people, they have heard this, like, smartphone, no to smartphone. They don't want to use smartphone, when they go to bed. So just for their pleasure, I wrote books. Okay, I wrote 3 books. So actually, they also work as effective as a YouTube talk. All you have to do is, some people have read that. All you have to do is open the book at the bedtime. Any of the 3, they are equally effective. They will give you a good night's sleep. Okay, and if you are in India, the covers look like this. They are being translated, including in Telugu. It has not come out, but they are being translated in Marathi, Hindi. What is that? That's Kannada. Okay, so they are already out, and I'll stop. Thank you.
The floor is now open for question and answers. Please keep your questions short and precise, and only one question, please.
Sir, this was an amazing talk, but I'll limit myself to a question. Supreme Court somebody had said in the Supreme Court, does the Ramayana and Mahabharata actually exist? So did your research start after that statement, or were you already doing research on this before the Supreme Court made that statement regarding Ayodhya's temple, I think?
Can you hear me? Okay. So no, I, with all due respect to Supreme Court, I don't listen to anything they say. So no, it has nothing to do with that, because see, what happens is the legality is a very different business. Just to take an example of Ayodhya, the issue at Ayodhya Ram Janmabhoomi wasn't so much if Ram was exactly born there or not, and what was the proof for it. Is Ram real? None of this actually was the legal issue. The legal issue was, as the faith, as the Shraddha of Hindus dictate, was there a mandir of Bhagwan Ram as assumed as a birthplace of Bhagwan Ram before there was a mosque? It was a simple issue like this. So that was not a historical in the sense of historicity of Ramayana. It was a historicity of the faith and who was there before. That was the issue. So no, I mean, I don't pay attention to that, or I don't pay attention to textbooks or what politicians
But
say.
I think your text was referenced in the judgment.
If it was, I'm not aware of it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So after that amazing talk, I just want to ask one or two questions, one from my side and one from my very dear friend who couldn't be here today. You are a chemical engineer. You're working abroad. So what drove you to something like this? Of course, you did mention that, you wanted to take 15 days off during your thesis to do it. So what made you keep at it?
The long answer, I'll give you the short answer first and then the long answer. The short answer is, after I wrote my first book, When Did the Mahabharat War Happen? This was 2011. One of my friend and his wife, both are my friends, from Mumbai, but settled in America, in Florida at that time. So his wife, my friend's wife asked him, he says, Sandeep, tell me, Nilesh is a chemical engineer working for General Electric, doing all kinds of things. Just what must have made him do the research on dating of Mahabharat? Okay, and so I'll first give the Marathi answer that my friend gave, and then if required, I will translate it. So my friend Sandeep, he answered in one word. Tell me if you know that word. He said, khaz. Now, do you know what that means? Unbearable itch. There is no, khaj, right? There is no other answer. Now, this is on a humorous note, but the longer answer is, when growing up, I had heard hey, if some great discovery happens, then somebody will say it's already there in our grantha. Now, do you hear that too? So I wanted to see that for myself. Okay. In fact, the other argument that is been made, that was made then, that is made now, and I try to fix it now. Which is to say, they say when somebody makes a discovery, we go and say it is there in Vedas, it is there in Mahabharata, it is there in Ramayana. Why do we not upfront say something and say, look, this is what is said here, and science has not shown it yet. Science has to catch up with it. So in fact, based on a Surya Siddhanta, myself and my co-researcher, Dr. Anil Narayanan, a aeronautical engineer, former ISRO scientist, now he's in Washington, D.C. We published a paper. I'll just give you how precise Indian astronomy is. For example, just Rahu Ketu, you may know, Rahu and Ketu make a turn in 18 years. Like in 18 years, they made the whole parikrama. Saturn is the slowest planet. So the node of Saturn, similar to Rahu, but instead of moon for Saturn, to just move out of 360 degree, only 1 degree. Do you know how long Surya Siddhanta says it takes? Surya Siddhanta says, just to move by 1 degree, it takes 300,000 years, 3 lakhs years. Now the question is, how did they figure it out? Now we have published the paper in a peer-reviewed journal. Now we are saying, now you go tell us how these guys figured it out. So it's a kind of doing a backward. So the infinite curiosity and voracious reading, that is kind of the answer.
No, that is what you're doing. But what drove you to it was the question.
Drove to basically see for yourself that people are not just throwing things in the air, saying it is there in our grantha, but actually to go and see the evidence of it and validate that. Just like Arundhati Vasishta that you saw. But there are many, not to disappoint our entrepreneur Swati Reddy ji there. For example, everyone knows Panchang. When you look at the Panchang, you would come to know about your years, about your lifetime. Your lifetime you can know through Panchang. If you to take that Panchang, which is Sun, Moon, Nakshatra, Tithi, add to that the positions of the planets, and you know your Itihasa, Ramayana and Mahabharata. And in order to do this, we need a nakshatra that do not move. Nakshatra definition is naksharata iti nakshatra, meaning which doesn't move. But Indian history is so deep, okay, so old, that even nakshatra starts moving. And that is the nature of the nakshatra Swati. There is a other word for nakshatra Swati in Indian literature. It says nishtha. That means a traveler or a foreigner. And do you know why? Because if you go back 60,000 years ago, the Swati was not part of our nakshatra system, but it was a North Pole star. So that's the kind of curiosity that drives me.
Wow. The second question is for my dear friend Sona Chatwani, who couldn't be here. He has been very curious why Krishna went from Mathura to Dwarka. It's not as if they are neighboring towns or cities or even states. So how did that happen and why did he go there?
Okay, how many of you have the same question? Why Krishna moved from Mathura to Dwarka? Correct, correct. But again, why bother, you know? So very good. I mean, you already gave a part of the answer. It had everything to do with the business and the geography and the conditions. Saraswati was drying. It was no longer meeting the ocean. So Saraswati route could not be easily used for commerce. Vaisheshika Sutra says, Yato abhyudaya nishreyasa siddhi sa dharma. Okay, whatever allows you to prosper is dharma. So now Sindhu is far, far away from Mathura. And so Krishna had no other option. Krishna and the Yadu clan has no other option. They were businessmen. They had no other option but to use Yamuna, Ganga and go to Bay of Bengal. And the Patna was a toll naka where Jarasandha was sitting. And that's why those wars, 17 wars that happened. And actually we hear a somewhat different story. But if you listen to Mahabharata, actually Jarasandha defeated Yadus 17 times. In Bhagavad Puran and Harivansha, you hear the other way because that's a bhakti literature. How can Krishna have a defeat? Something like this. So finally, what Krishna decided is he just simply moved from there all the way to Dwarka. And what's the importance of Dwarka? It's a port. Okay, and that's why Dwarka was an extremely prosperous place. And it was a place that was belonged to Krishna's ancestors. That's going back to about 30,000 years. But that's another talk.
Hello Nilesh ji. My name is Namrata Patwari, and you know, a lot of Indians, we rely, and let it be businessmen or families, we rely a lot on astrology, which is again based on planetary positions. What is your opinion on the reliance or the relevance of astrology in our lives in depicting or understanding our character? Again, further improvement of business or, you know, matchmaking and, you know, other areas.
Okay.
How accurate it is, because a lot of apps have come up, a lot of Gurujis have come up, you know, just on the app you put in something and it comes out. So I just wanted to understand your opinion on it.
Right. See, Jyotisha as a general word, as astronomy, astrology together in the Indian context is one of the Vedanga. So people took it very seriously. It is an empirical science, which means you make a tons and tons of observations. Any other chemical engineers in the room before I bluff? No? Because there are other engineerings too, but in chemical engineering a lot, civil engineering also, you actually, will this wall withstand? We don't know. We actually build a wall and you actually try to break it and find out how strong it is. In chemical engineering, we make lots and lots of observations and based on that we build correlations. Astrology is very much like that, you know, the empirical astrology. And I cannot talk any bad about astrology because my wife is an astrologer. I mean, chartered accountant, but also astrologer. Her accuracy is 90%, but my point is, therefore, you have to be also careful who you go to. This is not a marketing campaign, by the way. I'm just mentioning it. But I have seen the effects. You will find many great individuals, actually, how they turn to astrology. It's just amazing. I mean, we can offline discuss a couple of stories like that. The medical doctors. In fact, if you have heard B.N. Purandare, the gynecologist, one of India's famous gynecologists, there are about 300 instruments after his name. He turned to astrology to the extent when some complicated case is there, you know, and he has to decide whether the naturally let it go or you go for a cesarean or something. He used to, just knowing like how long it's going to take, he used to put the horoscope, the potential horoscope of the kid, and just decide, and based on that he used to make a decision. He used to use astrology for predictions of many other kinds like that. So it is an empirical science. It's not a science the way we talked here, but it is a tremendously useful empirical science. You just have to be careful. Just make sure you don't go into the car and the first guy with the parrot, you know, you don't stop there. Thank you. Where do you?
No, it is just pointed out in the general direction.
Hello, can I take?
Just one question at a time, yeah.
I just understand after marriage, the Arundhati Vasishta is a twin star, and they go around each other, and that is the reason why after marriage they take the bride and the groom to star. See, because marriage is supposed to be, with each other and not like one before and one after. I didn't understand. Think it's either front or back.
Yeah.
Usually goes around each
Okay,
other is
so
what
the
we've
goes,
done.
okay, so great question. I'll just repeat. The assumption when we look at Arundhati Vasishta after the wedding is because the assumption is that they go around each other because they are binary stars. Okay, just at that level we can take that, but they are binary stars, but of a much complex nature. They are actually like the hexa, like, binary, quaternary, hexa. There are 6 stars. So I'll not, we can handle offline about that. Okay, thank you. Next question.
I just wanted to say thank you for an excellent talk. I wanted to ask you obviously we are discussing these things in elite circles on YouTube videos. How can this become more common knowledge, and how can we get more of the public to accept this as fact?
Yeah. People in Hyderabad can understand this very well. The enthusiasm with which you guys watch Telugu movies, when you show the same enthusiasm for history and Indian civilization, this thing will come into the textbook. If it was not Hyderabad, I say, just to Indians in general, I say with the enthusiasm you watch cricket and you watch Bollywood, the same enthusiasm we show in our social circles and discussions, it will happen. Policymakers will listen. All the chief secretaries of different departments, government of India, they do one-on-one 90 minutes calls with me. But unless you guys who are voters don't say anything, they won't listen to me. I'm an American citizen. They don't care for my vote.
So, my question is, first of all, wonderful talk. And my question is, what is your present research on? Where to from here? Are there more heroines that are going to be added in this?
Yeah. So our question is, Nilesh, now that you have done and you have no other job, what are you going to do? Okay. So you listen to here 75,000 years. I just quickly walked you through. In fact, there are references in Rigveda. My co-researcher, Rupa Bhati, those of you who are watching my talks, you would have heard that name. She's an architect by profession, based in Gandhidham, Gujarat. She has found references in Rigveda that takes you to 220,000 years. But this is just on Antiquity. But there is enough to study about the agriculture, about domestication of animals, about Ayurveda, about pigments and coloring and how the technology developed. The Grut Samad of Rigveda, who started domestication of cotton, there is no dearth of it in terms of what you can study. And not just Rigveda, even actually the Ramayana, Mahabharata, the Darshana Shastra, and so much. There is no limit.
Hello. Good evening. Thank you for a very, very interesting talk today. My question is related to Ramayana. So in Ramayana, we know that Ravan carried Sita in a Vahana. In your research, did you also come across saying that it was really that happened, that he crossed it, and also about the Ramasetu? Does that really existed? Thank you.
Okay. Those are 2 questions, by the way. Okay. So the first one is a Pushpak Viman. Okay. And now everyone is saying, let us see what this guy says. Yeah. Quickly, I'll say about Pushpak Viman. Because Ramayana is a history, not a technology manual. Okay, so it doesn't tell you which engine was there, how was the engine, was it G90 engine? I can tell you no. Okay, it came after me, G90 engine. So what was the fuel? We don't know that. But I'll quickly tell you what we do know. Okay, the Nyaya Darshana says, Pramana Tashyartha Pratipatte. Let's talk about the evidence that we have. Everyone understands? There is no point talking about the evidence we don't have, because it doesn't help you prove anything, it doesn't help you disprove anything. So what do we know about Pushpak Viman? We don't know the fuel, we don't know the engine, we don't know the technology, but this is what we know. And especially now it's useful because everyone has flown on the aeroplane now. Okay, last 100 years, 150 years, we have it. For example, Valmiki Ramayana says when Pushpak Viman used to take off, and there are Vimanas in Mahabharata too, by the way, you have to read for that, Pushpak Viman used to take off, it used to make big noise. That ring a bell for you? What you know about the jumbo jets today? Yes. Valmiki Ramayana says the wind currents used to make Pushpak Viman unstable. Turbulence. Okay, and there are many other things. For example, Pushpak Viman never landed in front of a palace. It used to always land outside the city. All the landings and all the takeoff, they are outside the city. And quickly, the last one, there are many more, but just to manage time. After Bhagwan Ram kills Ravan, and Vibhishan says, please come to my city and enjoy my hospitality. Ram says, I cannot do that. Bharat is waiting for me. I want to go back as fast as I can. And what Vibhishan says? Vibhishan casually says, you need not worry. We have a Pushpak. You start in the morning, before sunset, you will land up in Ayodhya. Is that something comparable with Indigo? With a stop in Hyderabad? Yeah. Actually, it was a one-stop flight, by the way. Pushpak Viman did not go non-stop to Bharadwaj Ashram. It went to Karnataka, Kishkinda. All the Vanar Striyas, wore the beautiful saris. They got on the plane and then they went to Ashram of Bharadwaj. So if you just do the analogy, metaphors, upaman, you can see that we don't know what it is, but there was something similar. There must be something similar to that what is described. It is easy to discuss it today because we know the modern aeroplanes. If we are discussing this 400 years ago, what we would have said? I don't know, maybe something like birds, maybe like a hot balloon, I don't know. That's what we would have said.
Namaste, Nilesh. One last question, please, before we close the session.
Okay, so what you see between, okay, the simple answer is, okay, now if you ask more questions, your homework will go up. Okay, so the Ram Setu, all you have to do is, in YouTube, Nilesh Oak, Ravana's Lanka. Can you do that? It's a 1 hour of fun and entertainment. You'll get answer to Ram Setu. Just let's take that last question. Yeah.
Yeah, Namaste Nilesh. I was really fascinated when I heard Ranveer's talk with you. So when you talk about 20,000, 50,000 and 70,000, it really reminds me of the Jain Agam and all. I'm a Jain. And Jain Agam talks about a lakh year. So somewhere, yeah, things are there. But anyway, coming back to my question, how do you think Indian history should be taught in schools to foster a more nuanced understanding? And adding to it, what are some misconceptions about Indian history that you would like to dispel?
Misconceptions about Indian history that I like.
Who would like to dispel?
Respect. Dispel. Okay. Get rid of the textbooks. Okay. I mean, there are some good stuff there, whatever it is, but it needs a revision. Everything that is said about Indian history in the Western academia, that still gets regurgitated into all the peer-reviewed papers like Rigveda 1500 BC, which is to say 3,500 years. That's utter nonsense, foolishness. And I'm not just saying this because I'm in Hyderabad. I say this in Harvard, I say this in MIT, I say this in Berkeley, and you just name American university, I say this. Oxford and Cambridge, I say that. And they just cough like this. I say, I don't care. You are wrong. Okay? So 3,500 BC nonsense. I mean, 3,500 years, we have to get rid of it. So that's what it is. But your first question was how we should taught. Actually, NEP, everyone has heard NEP, the new education policy. Okay? And so there are some experiments going on. You might have heard the word IKS, Indian Knowledge System. Something very interesting. They have just said, hey, each university has to teach IKS. And now everyone is wondering, what is Indian Knowledge System? So they go to actually some people, including me, Nileshji, please tell me what is Indian knowledge system. And I say, yeah, I will tell you. This is our opportunity, actually what they're doing. So what I will say is that now with the internet and so much of stuff out there, we don't need to, a textbook is fine, but we don't need to write the textbook saying this is how it happened, which is what they did in the past. We can have an open framework saying Mahabharata, for example, I'll give you an example. My date is 5561 BC, but this is not the only date, although this is the correct date, just remember that. But there are close to 130 different Mahabharata researchers who have proposed many different dates. They range from 7300 BC to 400 CE, 1600 years ago. There are some Harvard idiots like that, who says 400 CE. My point is, write that down in the textbook. Say Mahabharata, there are many researchers who say from 7300 BC to 400 CE and give some examples, maybe of 10 different researchers. leave it open for students, because that's possible these days, to actually go to Google and they can actually Google all these different researchers, including Nilesho, and let them figure it out for themselves, why this one is better than others. You follow? Because by the time I finish my lecture, many more new research comes. In fact, all that I shared with you going back to 70,000 years, if I was giving this talk 5 years ago, I would have given a very different lecture, because some of the research that I shared only came out in the last 5 years. This is how fast our knowledge of history is changing. So I say keep an open framework and let people study on their own. Back to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir.
May I request Senior Vice Chairperson Pratibha Gunda to deliver the vote of thanks.
Can I just request all of you to sit down for 2-3 minutes? Let Pratibha finish. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. And so, what a thrilling evening this has been. On behalf of Flow Hyderabad and Chairperson Priya Gazdar, I thank Mr. Nilesh Nilkanth Oak for sharing with us his brilliant research and bringing to life the brave and resilient women from our Indian epics. This captivating journey ignited our imaginations and reminds us of the powerful legacy they've left for us to carry forward. Thank you, sir, for those mind-boggling numbers and facts associated with it and the connection to our history. I would also like to express our appreciation to the quorum for being such gracious hospitality partners. And to all our members and guests, thank you for your presence here today. And a big shout out to our past chairs for their continued support, and to the events team whose tireless work behind every event keeps everything intact for us for every event. I'd also like to thank our creative partners, RBC Worldwide, and gifting partner, Hemis. Lastly, I'd like to remind everyone to stay back for our high tea, and let's connect and continue the conversation sparked by today's session. Thank you.